Some parents prepare for baby names, others prepare nursery colors, but there are parents who prepare for battles they never knew existed. When Ada and Kunle walked into the hospital for their anomaly scan, they were laughing, 22 weeks pregnant, halfway to meeting their first child. Ada had already chosen tiny clothes. Kunle had already calculated school fees 20 years ahead. Life felt predictable, safe. The ultrasound room was cold. Machines hummed quietly as the sonographer moved the probe across Ada's stomach. At first, everything seemed normal. Then, the silence began. Professionals learned how to hide worry. The doctor was called in. Another scan followed. Measurements repeated. Screens zoomed in again and again. Finally, the doctor turned towards them gently. I need you both to listen carefully. Those words changed everything. Their baby showed multiple abnormalities, brain development concerns, possible mobility limitations, high probability of lifelong intellectual disability. The doctor explained slowly. Carefully, this child may have special needs requiring permanent care. Ada stopped breathing properly. Kunle asked practical questions. Treatment? Surgery? Recovery? The answers were complicated. Then came the silence many parents never forget. You may consider terminating the pregnancy. The room collapsed into silence. Outside, babies cried somewhere in the maternity ward. Inside, a future disappeared. That night, Kunle did not sleep. He researched endlessly. Medical bills, caregiver statistics, divorce rates among parents of special needs children, burnout, depression. He wasn't cruel. He was afraid. The next morning, he spoke quietly. Maybe we should just listen to the doctors. Ada stared at him like she no longer recognized the man she married. You want our child dead? No, Kunle whispered. I want us to survive. But grief rarely hears logic. Ada told her mother, her sisters, her church friends. Soon, everyone knew. Kunle became the man who wanted to abandon his own child before birth. Even his parents called him. Disappointed, ashamed, pressure slowly crushed him. Weeks passed in arguments and tears until one evening, Kunle simply said, okay, if Ada wanted the baby, they would have the baby. Love sometimes agrees, even when fear remains. Their son, David, was born on a rainy morning. He did not cry immediately. Doctors rushed him away. Machines surrounded him before his parents could hold him. That was the beginning. Hospital visits replaced family outings. Therapy appointments replaced weekends. David struggled to sit, to speak, to swallow food safely. Every milestone other parents celebrated became a mountain. Ada stopped sleeping properly. Kunle worked longer hours. Bills multiplied quietly. Special chairs, medical consultations, medication, transportation, and exhaustion, the kind nobody posts online. Friends visited less. Invitations stopped coming. Some people didn't know what to say. Others simply disappeared. Love slowly turned into survival. Arguments returned. not because they hated each other, but because they were tired. One evening, David screamed for 3 straight hours. Sensory overload. Ada cried while holding him. Kunle stood helplessly. Something inside him finally broke. I warned you, he said quietly. The words hung heavily in the room. 2 weeks later, Kunle packed a small bag. I'll still support financially, he said. But I can't do this anymore. The door closed softly behind him. Single motherhood arrived without announcement. Ada loved her son, but love does not cancel exhaustion. David required constant supervision. Sometimes he hurt himself unintentionally. Sometimes he refused food. Sometimes he didn't sleep for nights. Isolation became dangerous. One afternoon, after days without rest, Ada sat on the kitchen floor, watching her son rock back and forth, and a terrifying thought crossed her mind. Just one moment of silence. That was all she wanted. The thought frightened her so much she began shaking, because for the first time, she understood how desperate parents could become. The next day, a neighbor noticed her exhaustion and spoke gently. There is a center, the woman said, for children like David. Ada resisted at first. Gil screamed loudly. Good mothers should manage alone. That was what society silently teaches. But exhaustion eventually forces humility. The organization welcomed them warmly. Therapists understood David immediately. No judgment, no pity, just knowledge. Ada watched professionals calm her son using techniques nobody had taught her before. For the first time in years, she sat down without fear. She learned something important there. Special needs children do not only need love, they need systems, support, community, and parents need help too. Months later, Kunle visited again, older, somehow, quieter. He watched David laugh during therapy, a sound he had rarely heard before. I wasn't trying to abandon him, Kunle said softly. I was drowning. Ada nodded because she now understood. Raising a special needs child was not about heroes or villains. It was about endurance. Some marriages survive it, some don't, but no parent should face it alone. That day, Ada realized something doctors rarely say during anomaly scans. A diagnosis changes a child's future, but it also reshapes the parents completely. And sometimes the bravest decision is not choosing perfection, it is choosing help.